All right, good afternoon, softball fans. We are here in Winchester, Illinois, covering the junior high softball game between the West Central Cougars and the Carrollton Hawks. This is Justin Fuller, and got Denny Vortman with me today on the mic. We got some clouds, so it's not scorching hot today, and pretty good day for softball. Just completed the coaches meeting and the ground rules, and Cougars are taking the field, Lady Cougars. So the starting lineup for the Cougars is we have Millie Maynard, we batting leadoff, and she is pitching. Kenzie Rose batting second and catching. Kinsley Fryman is batting third and playing first. Sydney Evans is batting fourth, playing third. Aubrey Sweeten is batting fifth and playing center field. Ronnie Hubert is batting sixth and playing left field. The DP is Addie Fuller, batting in the 7 hole. Batting eighth is Aaliyah Summers. She's playing right. And the shortstop batting the 9 hole is Emma Chapman. And the flex is Ella Little, according to the lineup I got. So that's going to be the starting 9 for the Cougars today. I had a chance to watch the team last night, and it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Of course, if you followed the team last year, they went to the Elite Eight, went to the state tournament, and had a really, really great year. But talking with the coaches, so the team is made up of 4 8th graders, 4 7th graders, and then 9 5th graders. So it's a very strange dynamic, probably difficult for the coaches because they have – I know some of these girls have played a lot of softball, travel ball, school ball, and are very advanced. And I know having a daughter in the 5th grade, they're pretty green. They're still learning the game. But I'll say this, I know talking to my daughter, she is absolutely loving the opportunity that she has had. And I know, Denny, you as a former coach, it's probably kind of crazy to mix and match so many different grades.
Well, you talk about the experience with the 5th graders, but they're not without either. If you correct me if I'm wrong, but they had a pretty good softball season with Tri-County. Isn't this a 5th grade group that made it out of district? So it's not like they're without. It's just, as you know, especially junior high, 8th grade, even from 8th to 7th, it can be a big jump depending on how student athletes are developing.
Absolutely. It's and what's crazy is like you look and some of the 5th graders, and same way with me coaching junior high baseball, 7th graders, you have some guys that are really small and haven't developed yet, and other guys who have. So that's just one of the challenges there. So Millie Maynard, the leadoff hitter for the Carrollton Hawks, was Heck, and she was hit by a pitch on the second pitch. So she's at first base with nobody out. Our next hitter, and I'm going to apologize in advance if I mispronounce any names, Steinacher, number 44, second baseman. So Heck steals the base. I believe the pitch was a ball.
Well, if West Central's going to kind of hold their own this year, it's going to be these 4 8th graders that were a big part of that state run last year. And I kind of talked to you a little bit off air. You always kind of want to see what leadership looks like, and these 4 are really going to have to lead this team because you can definitely pick out the 5th graders that are out here, as we just talked about, in size. And like I said, they had a successful Tri-County team, but that's a whole nother level when you step on this diamond in junior high.
Oh, absolutely. I know, like last night, we I went to the game, and playing Calhoun, who is a perennial, very solid softball team, and just the size and the speed and even the experience. It's a big jump for these 5th graders, but there's one way to learn. You can get out there and give her a shot. Then we got to steal a third, and the throw tips off the glove of Chapman, goes in left field, and Heck scores the first run of the ball game. The pitch was ball 4 to Steinacher is at first on the walk. And the next hitter for the Hawks is Henline, who's the catcher, number 7. It's kind of cool, like having a daughter playing, and I've been around baseball my whole life, not anywhere near an expert on the game of softball, but even last night at the Calhoun game, all the bunting, the fake bunting, the slash, the different aspects that go into softball, and it's definitely, as a player, it's got to be challenging, not knowing, they're going to swing, they're going to slash, or what's going to happen. There, the batter takes off on the pitch that's low.
Yeah, I can actually tell you a story about that. When I was student teaching at Virginia, I got thrown into softball. One of those like nobody wants it, you're doing it kind of thing. And I remember playing as ball put in play here. It's going to be beats it out. Infield single.
Okay. I think the lineup that we must have, I don't know if that's correct because I don't think that's Ella Kuntz at second base.
It's Ella Little out there at second base.
Ella Little. So that's one of our fifth graders that we were no, it is Ella Little. I just can't read the lineup card. The lineup card is right. I'm just apparently illiterate. So I apologize for that. But, that's a great example. And Ella did everything that she needed to do, but just that speed of the game at this level, playing against eighth graders. She does that against fifth or sixth graders. She gets the out by 3 steps.
Yep.
And them learning, from last night being at the game, I feel like our coaches are doing a great job being patient with these young players and trying to teach on. I know Addie's probably learned more in the week and a half of junior high softball than she has, playing all the Little League and everything that she's done. So it's just going to be one of those things.
Yep, and I'm going to beat the drum again, but it's also going to be patience on these upperclassmen too. And they, from what I've seen so far, have been great with these youngsters as far as understanding that they're going to have to live with some things that just kind of go on out here that they weren't used to last year. I mean, we talked about they went to Elite Eight, but we were also talking off air. They got beat by the state champion, and we were the only team to even put runs on them, even get hits on them for that matter. So we just kind of got a bad draw stepping into the Elite Eight.
Absolutely.
We could have been champions, or you never know, or runner-up, anything like that. That was a really good team and fun to watch. And you've got some leftovers here in Rose and Maynard and some of those big ones. So, again, you're not washing the season away. I think you're going to get better as the season goes on, but I want to see, like we talked about, that leadership from these guys.
Absolutely. There's a big strikeout for Millie Maynard with runners on second and third, getting the first out. Striking out number 10, Rosentretter. Probably said that wrong. I apologize.
We're going with it.
Okay.
Unless somebody corrects us.
The next batter is number 4, Scoggins, who's the center fielder. I'll tell you what, we got a beautiful day. I was at Calhoun yesterday, and it was warm. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. So having the clouds, and also helps Denny having the tent for us here.
Well, I learned early, have a tent, because you can't see any screen. If you don't, whether it's sunny, cloudy, it doesn't matter. You can't see anything that you're trying to do.
Absolutely. That was a close pitch. Looking at Millie Maynard's body language, I think she thought that should have been a strike, but didn't get the call. Hey, we got that one, though. Well, it counts 2-1 to the 5-hole hitter Scoggins. And sometimes it has a connection. I think more times than not it does. But, of course, Carrollton's varsity softball team last year, phenomenal season. Won state, I believe, right? So I'm sure that success that they're having at the varsity level probably trickles down. Another big strikeout by Maynard. But that success is something that probably trickles down into the junior high level. And I know we've seen that with the success we've had at the varsity baseball program last couple of years. Of course, the success that the basketball programs had here at West Central. And Millie kind of struggled to find the strike zone early on, and put some people on base, but now she's real close to finding a way to limit the damage and get out of this with 1 run. Be big if we could get this next out, who is number 11, Bierman, I believe, third baseman. It definitely looks like Millie's getting in a groove up there.
She was struggling early, like you pointed out, and now she's really kind of found it.
Yeah.
And not to jinx her, but everything hasn't been touched.
Tried the corner and missed. Yeah, I'll just it was a close one.
Yeah. We're sitting off to the side, but there she got
There
her.
we go. There we go. So, as we talked about, Millie Maynard with a great job there. The first 3 base runners reached base, and Carrollton got 1 to jump on top, but a great job of limiting the damage, striking out the last 3 hitters. And so the Cougars are getting ready to come to bat, and we'll be back in just a little bit. All right, welcome back, softball fans. We are here back in the bottom of the first inning. The Lady Hawks have the lead against the Lady Cougars, 1-0. Leading off for the Cougars is Millie Maynard, today's pitcher. Takes the first pitch inside. I don't know because I wasn't following on Game Changer, but I'm pretty sure being at the game, I think she had our 1 hit last night and scored our the 1 run that we had against Calhoun. Takes a pitch just up.
Well, she's definitely one of those grinders. You know, I've watched a couple games over last year, and of course, going to be one of the leaders of this team. And she knows how to play. She plays a lot of softball, I know, through the summer and everything. And she's going to be a good one. Is not only finishing up her junior high career, but we're going to hear a lot about her in high school.
Absolutely. She plays some high level, travel softball. So. Yeah, she'll be one that I got to imagine. I'm not familiar with the varsity team, but I got to imagine she's going to be pushing for some playing time as a freshman next year. So Heck found the strike zone there on 3-0 to make it 3-1. I will say this, I know both pitchers have kind of struggled that early on, and there's no way that there was anything wrong with the mound because I personally got the field ready.
You were out there sweating with Knox. You had Knox on the drag.
I was. Did you have the camera set up for that? I could go back.
I was setting up, but I wasn't recording.
Yeah, I was.
I didn't know if you were going to make it over here to broadcast.
Yeah,
I was worried for you.
I was sweating butter, man. It was rough. All right, so the next batter is Kenzie Rose, another one of those 8th graders. There was a contributing player last year on that Elite 8 team, and I know the coaches are expecting some big things from her. All right.
Nice little off-speed pitch there. Yeah. Kind of had her guessing.
Yeah, it looked like something maybe kind of cutting down and in. Threw a little 0-2 changeup, it looked like, and Rose did a nice job laying off, and Maynard was able to swipe second base. So now we got that tying run in scoring position. Looked like one right on the inside corner. That's a tough one. I get that as a former player. Sometimes those ones, if you can dot that inside corner, that's a tough pitch to hit. It's a hard pitch to hit.
I notice this with even our youngsters playing. Everybody is up on the plate, on the line. So anything, if you can get a pitcher that can control that inside, it's almost impossible. I watch my own son, just stand on the chalk. I don't think he's thinking of daring for an inside pitch, but you know what I mean? He's looking outside all the way.
Absolutely.
And I see a lot of kids in today's game really stand on that line and try to cover a lot of the outside part of the plate.
Yeah, and I know in baseball, and I'm assuming it's the same in softball when you have those guys that do it, and it's a fine line because, you try to go in there, and if you miss by 5-6 inches, you end up hitting the batter and putting somebody on base, and especially a lot of young pitchers, they don't have that confidence to go in there with conviction. And actually what I see more times now is when you try to go in, they actually miss away because they're conscious. They're like, I want to hit him. I want to hit him. And they end up missing down and away. So that was Kinsley Fryman, who struck out looking like another off-speed pitch. Heck, the pitcher for Carrollton, definitely has a bit of a repertoire up there. Not definitely just throwing off fastballs. We've seen some – I'm not an expert on softball pitching, but look like some of those are cutting. Definitely a changeup that's a little bit slower. And I don't care if you're playing baseball, softball. If you can throw 2 or 3 pitches for strikes, it makes hitting, which is a very hard thing to do, especially hard. So the next hitter is Sydney Evans. So we still got that tying run at second base with 2 outs. I noticed this last night is Millie is very active on the bases. Like she'll steal a base, and she definitely puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Is she going to go? She gets a huge secondary lead, but she's fast enough that she can do it.
Well, the stolen base, she picked the perfect pitch. When she did steal it was a little off-speed pitch to Rose, I think, that put her down 0-2, and she picked the perfect pitch to go. There wasn't even close.
Yeah.
So she's a pretty headsy player, as we talked about. She has played a lot of softball.
All right, that was ball 4 to Sydney Evans, drawing the walks. We have first and second, 2 outs. And our next batter is number 10, Aubrey Sweeten, the center fielder for the Cougars. So that pitch looked pretty close. Must have just missed off a little bit.
Both pitchers struggling a little bit, but I think more so just trying to figure out the umpires. That's part of the game too,
and
kind of figure out what that strike zone is. I've seen both pitchers just kind of look in and be like, really?
Yeah, but it's one of those that, the biggest thing you ask for is consistency. And if the umpire is consistently calling the same pitches, balls, and consistently the same strikes, that's all you can ask for. And I even heard Coach Rose between innings tell a couple of the batters, like, hey, he's not calling the high pitch and he's calling the low pitch. So, those sort of in-game adjustments are huge, for hitters to understand what is being called, what they can hit. All that stuff, makes a difference, especially with – at junior high and high school, we don't have the ABS system here. The umpires aren't scored every game. These are guys that have jobs and they're out working. That was kind of a crazy play. So the pitch was ball 4 to Sweeten. She drew a walk. So Maynard was going to be safe, but the catcher threw it. And that being a live ball is a heck of a play by the third baseman, Bierman, to keep that throw in front of her, because if that gets by, especially at Maynard's speed, I got to imagine.
Yeah. Well, everybody was saying, well, it's ball 4, and it makes everybody relax. But you're right. That ball gets passed, and we're tying this game. So
bases are loaded. Having a little problems finding the zone. And the next batter is number 13, Ronnie Hubert. Takes first pitch for a strike, I believe. Scoreboard says 0-2. Okay, now it's 0-1. We got it. Just missed down a little bit.
One of those fifth graders in a big spot early in this game. Bases loaded. 2 outs here.
You can see, I don't know if you guys can see this at home on the camera, but Millie getting a secondary lead at third on the pitch and eyeing that catcher and just looking for something to kind of roll away or the catcher just not to give her a peek before she throws it back, and she's.
I'm giving him a little look now. I got a camera over there, Coach.
Oh, this is
Jim
why
Jackson.
You're the best in the business.
Yeah. I'll give him exactly what you were just talking about. I'm going to give him another shot here.
All right, 2-2 count. Painted the outside corner for strike 3. So the Cougars threaten. They load the bases in the first, but they come up empty. So we move into the second inning, and the score is Carrollton 1 and the Lady Cougars 0. We'll be back in just a little bit. All right, welcome back, softball fans. We are in the top of the second inning, and Carrollton's up 1-0. Leading off for the Hawks is Gernigan, I believe. Once again, I apologize. I mispronounce probably several names today. She takes the first pitch just slightly up. And a good clean base hit up the middle. And it gets past Sweeten. And Gernigan moves up to second base. So base hit and probably an E8 on that. It'll probably be how it's ruled. But the Hawks are threatening in the top, getting the leadoff batter into scoring position. The next batter, this one I will get right, is Flowers. Pretty common Carrollton name there. She's the shortstop for the Hawks. Must have just missed outside by a little bit. Pretty good pitch. Ball squeaks away from Rose on the dirt, and the Hawks have a runner at third base. All right, 2-0 count here to Flowers. And Millie paints the outside corner at the knees. Not much you're going to do with that pitch. That's one of those, as a pitcher, you're probably hoping the batter does swing at that pitch on 2-0 and get a little bit of weak contact, get a cheap out. One just missed up by a hair, so 3-1 count. ball four. That one was up. This is where softball gets a little crazy. This is I've seen them where they take off and they just run to first and run to second and cause a little chaos. And as a broadcaster, you got to be on your toes even on ball four.
I'm relying on you.
All right,
stay on your toes.
I'm watching. I know in baseball, they gotta take their elbow guard off and their shin guard off and put their oven mitt on, and so they're not in too much of a hurry to head anywhere. So the next hitter for the Hawks is Young, who is, and I'm going to get this backwards, but I believe the DP is what it's classified as, and she is hitting for Osterman, who's the flex. Osterman's playing right field. But yeah, you can definitely, you definitely see the frustration both pitchers so far of, kind of, as we talked about, just trying to figure out where the strike zone is. And I'll say this, the umpire's been very consistent both ways is that he's not giving that borderline high pitch to either team. So
well, and you commented off air too. You've heard one of the coaches say, "Hey, they're not giving you the high pitch." That's a way of just telling you adjust to what he's calling.
Yeah, I believe that was 3. All right, so a big out there, kind of similar to the first inning. Hawks getting some traffic on early, and Millie Maynard getting a big strikeout when she needs it. We're back to the top of the lineup, Heck, and she definitely showed bunt, slap, whatever you want to call it, where she does, you saw it there, kind of running. I believe that's a slap.
Yeah, a little run up in the front of the box. I was going to tell you earlier that I got thrown into coaching softball as a student teacher, and I got a lesson in softball right off the bat. You're talking about all the extra stuff. We played a Carrollton team that was coached by a Lori Blade, and they just beat the pants off of us. And they did this all night to us. Nice hit.
Yeah, that was nice. Nice piece of hitting, just slapping it over the shortstop. And honestly, a really good play there by Aubrey Sweeten. Almost made a catch, and the runner from third was going. If she would have been able to make that catch, but she kept the ball in front. Kept the runner at second from scoring. So the Hawks do score 1 at first and third. Nice little piece of hitting there by Heck. This is all stuff I need to learn. Having a daughter who's just kind of getting into softball, and and everybody expects that I should know this.
It's just different enough,
I don't.
I remember watching a sports science on a softball pitcher versus a baseball pitcher, and they actually showed how hitting a softball is much harder because of how it comes from the bottom up a lot of times.
Yes.
Whereas a baseball comes from the top down, and just a path of a swing and how hard it is to actually hit a softball.
When I was in college, we practiced, being in the Midwest, in January, February, you're inside, and softball at McKendree always practiced before us. And one day the softball team was getting done, and we were coming into practice, and the pitcher, was from the softball team, was like, "Hey, you guys think you're good, and I got in the box, and she struck me out. Like I had no – and wasn't that I was necessarily felt like I was overpowered, but like I said, it's such a different look with the release point coming from underneath and the stuff that they can make the ball do, make it rise, make it cut, sink. I had no chance. I could have sat there for probably 100 pitches and tried to hit, and I probably wouldn't have made any contact. So I was like, I struck out once, and I was like, "Hey, you're good job." And I proceeded to get out of the cage before I got feeling real bad. Ooh, a great effort there by Ella Little at second base. And that was Steinacker from Carrollton. Little shallow fly ball, kind of over.
Just in the triangle there,
hit it
right?
in the right spot, right? Kind of between the shortstop and second and center field. And a little great effort going after the ball, and just kind of squeaked out of her glove. And now the Hawks have the bases loaded. Now they're second and third after the wild pitch, and they score a run, making it 3-0. And this is Headline, who's batting for Carrollton, a 3-hole batter.
Well, we had some boys over here while Millie was warming up and kind of giving her a hard time, and I said to all three of them, I'm like, she'd strike every one of you guys out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they were some of the guys that are on my junior high baseball team,
Nope.
I struck them out with the batting cage or on the pitching machine the other day. A couple of them struck out, which it's still early in our season. We haven't started playing yet, so yeah, they don't need to be bumping their gums.
Yeah.
I've seen them hit. A good play there by Maynard, but the run scores.
She did a nice job of giving her a look. It's just, nice base running as well. She just kind of froze and waited for her to make the throw and scored the run.
And that is even in, baseball, 80, 90-foot bases, that's a very tough play of checking in, freezing the runner. And the size of the softball field just speeds the game up so much. A good rip up the middle. That's number 10, Rosentratter. Good piece of hitting there, jumping, ambushing that first pitch fastball and driving it up the middle, making the score 4-0 Hawks.
Somehow I got ahead of myself saying it was 5-0. We're going to have to double check here.
Yeah, we might have to check Game Changer. I'm not a very good broadcaster. I know like broadcasters would keep book and have everything, and
we're missing that one piece, Coach. The traveling secretaries.
Yeah.
Fueling America right now, so
he's actually, I talked to him right before I got here, and he's getting his fuel truck worked on, like up by Athens or something like that. And he got it worked on, he picked it up, and he's driving it home, and was having some issues, so he brought it back there to the lot to have him work back on it. So, and he's got to keep, especially all the farmers in the area and many of the ag operations fueled up. So, but yeah, he would be all over that. So we're at a 3-0 count here with 2 outs in the second inning. Scoreboard still has the first inning up, so there is a chance that it is 5-0 or 4-0. We'll get that figured out. And
I had 5 earlier, but I went back to 4. I'm going to stay with the scoreboard right now. It looks better on our end anyway.
Yes.
So
there's a good pitch. Get back in the count, making the count 3-1. So the batter right now for the Hawks is Scoggins, the center fielder. Millie's worked hard, get back in the count. We're 3-2, 2 outs. Tried to expand the zone up top and almost got Scoggins to swing at it, but nice job laying off that pitch. The next batter's number 11, Bierman, third baseman. Just a little bit high. And definitely see some frustration with Millie, and like I said, that's all part of the learning experience. I've seen it on the young guys I've coached, heck, even high school guys and college guys sometimes, where have to be able to block some of that stuff out. And
it's
just
the
keep
mental
doing your
toughness
job.
part of it. We talk. I mean, I preach it to my 2 sons all the time, and try to get them to understand. It's easy to be tough when things are going your way, but when you got to try to figure the game out and the game gets a little harder, what's your breaking point? And that's really mental toughness. What's the point that's going to break you? And so Millie's done a good job. I know she's a little frustrated, but she's done a good job of fighting back. So we saw her in the first inning struggle, but then come out and end up striking out all 3 batters in the first inning. So capable of that stuff. She gets a strike there.
There you go. Well, and the one thing, that I just like as a coach is, there's times you can see her slowing the game down, and that's something I know I preach to, especially our junior high guys, is that sometimes when the game's going tough, you need to slow it down, And that is one of the benefits of baseball, softball. There's no clock. You know, it's not Major League Baseball. We don't have a pitch clock, and we can still do that at this level and kind of compose yourself, get your mind right, and be able to execute your pitch. So Bierman, we go 3-0 and then go back to full. I think this is a good mound visit here by Coach Rock, just trying to calm her pitcher down. Pretty crucial point of the game, being 4-0 right now with the bases loaded, where if you can strand these 3 runners, you keep yourself in the game. And but if we kind of keep going down the same road we're going, the game might get out of reach pretty quick.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Looks like we're going to stay with her. She kind of walked behind the mound there and had me thinking different.
I was on the same boat as you. I kind of saw her walking off, and a little fake out there. Right there, I tell you what, as a coach, that's one of the best things is when you do a mound visit and the first pitch is a strike.
Yeah.
You got that pitcher you're struggling, like, all right, like that was good. And vice versa, it feels pretty bad and I've done this plenty, where you do a mound visit and then the next pitch goes to the backstop, or you hit a batter and it's like, oh boy. Another good pitch there by Maynard. Getting ahead 0-2. Batter is Gernigan. Want to see Millie stay aggressive here and not try to be too cute and let Gernigan back in the count, but keep attacking. Try to high fastball. I like that. Trying to get her to expand. Tell you what, they'll let anybody in this tent.
Yeah.
We got some young hoodlums that are causing some issues here. We got a fly ball to left field.
That's going to be trouble right in that spot again.
So a 1-2 hit by Gernigan. And I can totally relate to this. I remember couple years ago in junior high, I had Jackson Little at short. He had to play some short as a 6th grader, and so I understand what's going on. Is the field's big, for some of these 5th grade girls, so you got to play them in where they can make plays. But then, as a result of that, it creates some additional holes. Where if you had a mature 8th grader, playing short, you can play that person a little bit deeper and do some of those things. So just kind of tough luck there. Good pitch by Maynard getting the pop-up, but, just –
that's 2 pop-ups in this inning that have just found a perfect spot to land,
Yeah.
One in between the shortstop and the second baseman earlier, and then that one that just was right between the outfielder and the shortstop.
And I totally understand it. Like I said, sometimes, you just got to do what you got to do based on your personnel that you have at that time. And, as we talked about at the beginning of this, is yes, there are some very, very good players on the West Central team, but there's going to be some young players and inexperienced players that are going to be able to play and, based on necessity, and they can gain that experience, but it's going through some of those growing pains with them. Absolutely. So we got a 1-2 count here on Flowers. It hits a base hit to right field.
Nice piece of hitting by Flowers. She just went with the pitch, shot it right into right field, and that scores another Hawk. To make it 7-0.
Yeah, especially with 2 strikes. That's a great piece. And not trying to do too much. Honestly, if she tries to pull that ball, she probably swings and misses. A great pitch by Maynard down and away. It just pokes it through that hole on the right side. Keeps the inning going. So we're back down to the 9-hole. Young, who is the DP for the Hawks. A good pitch there by Maynard. Good stop there by Rose. And that's that's one of those things that oftentimes goes unnoticed, having that catcher that you have confidence in, throwing the 0-2 pitch in the dirt, trying to get a swing. Some of the mechanics are kind of like picking me out a little bit sometimes, which I do think that pitch was a little bit out. But the umpire kind of faked me out there on that one. There's a great pitch by Millie Maynard to get out of the inning. The Hawks do some damage, though, scoring 6 runs, we believe. We will confirm that. And move to the bottom of the second, and the Hawks lead 7-0. All right, welcome back, softball fans. So we're in the bottom of the second inning here. Carrollton's up 7-0 after a big 6-run second inning. Leading off for the Lady Cougars is Addie Fuller. Addie takes the pitch just off the plate. We're still waiting for the first swing of the year, even 2 at-bats the other night. But I'll say this to her credit. They're not giving her much to hit.
Yep. And for those that don't know, Coach Fuller here, this is daughter at the plate. He told me he may have to mute himself or do something, and being excited about his daughter, a 5th grader, getting a chance. How's she feeling about it? Is she excited about it? I know you talked a little bit about it, but
she is
nervous.
The timing of everything was, kind of crazy, because we had our meeting at the day of their first practice. And so it was just and I think this was kind of good that it just happened, and it's not like we didn't know for 2-3 weeks. And, but it's been great for her because she has really gotten into, now that she's playing junior high softball, like me and her, we went out to Central Valley and hit 3 or 4 times, like even on days where they practice in the morning. So it's been really good, for her to gain that experience and kind of a love of the game, so to speak, that maybe she didn't have prior, but between this year in Little League and then making All-Stars and the success they had there and now playing junior high, it's been really good for her. So Addie draws a walk. I know she gets pretty nervous with the base running aspect of softball, but that's one of those things. As a 5th grader, she's got it's great experience.
Everything matters, and even you. I saw you in camp over there working with the guys, even in 8th grade, about how to take a lead off and how to run bases, and so she's not alone in that feeling.
Absolutely,
getting an understanding of what you're supposed to do.
Yep. So the next batter for the Lady Cougars is Aaliyah Summers. She's down 0-2 here. Start. Puts the ball in play.
And it's going to be a foul ball. It just kind of hit and fair and just spun right away from him.
Absolutely.
Heck was going to make a play on that no matter what. It almost helped us out.
Yeah. And from my angle, it looked like the umpires 100% got it right. Both girls were going after it, and they were close, but it didn't look like anybody touched it until it rolled in foul territory. So, here's the pitch.
You know what I like about that at bat is she went down swinging, and may have been a little bit off the plate, but she had some good swings on the ball.
Absolutely. Fouled a couple off, and yeah, that's especially for like some of these younger, the more inexperienced girls, they just get in there and take a swing.
Hey, be ready, let's go.
And so the next batter is Emma Chapman, who's our shortstop today.
Nice
Good piece
job
up
right
the
up the
middle.
middle. Nice job by Chapman.
Great piece of hitting there by Chapman. Stay on that base, Addie. She almost wandered off. Like I said, we got to work on some base running there. But
well, I think the umpire kind of confused her because he'd made some kind of motion there that made her think she was out.
Yeah.
Nice job by Chapman. That was just an easy hands to the ball. You can tell that she's another one that has played a lot of softball, knows kind of what she's doing out there, a fifth grader, but she did a great job of just taking the pitch, using her hands, and getting it right up the middle. This is what I'm talking about. There's some kind of talk about how that little play at second base there.
And maybe I wonder if did he have his arm out this way?
I wondered if he, what I was
obstruction.
thinking either obstruction or she was pushed off the bag. I don't know if that's a thing that an umpire can call.
You can't push him. That would just be a dead ball.
And I'm not saying that was an intentional push. What I'm saying is
on the tag.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, we don't have much of an angle, so I couldn't tell. Maybe like the second baseman was in her way, and then he was calling obstruction. So, yeah, Maynard slaps one to first base. Great play by the first baseman. By the Hawks. That could have definitely been trouble. That gets down the line. That probably scores one for sure.
Nice piece of hitting. She does move the runners up.
And the one thing that, the more softball I watch is just how small the field is, like how hard of a play that is for the first baseman there. She's playing about 55 or so feet away from home plate, and that ball was hit hard. And, to field it cleanly, especially the way Maynard runs it, you don't field that cleanly. She's beating it. Like if that clanks off your glove and gets just a couple feet away, you're not beating her. So Rose gets hit by the pitch, which now loads the bases up for our three-hole batter, Kinsley Fryman. So great opportunity here for the Cougars to maybe get back in this ball game with a couple big hits. Fryman takes the first pitch on the outside corner for strike one. Pulled the string right there. I believe a little change-up. Pretty good one, I know.
It's such a deceiving pitcher, too, and heck, she has this kind of like a little hitch in her throw. Mm-hmm. She kind of lunges at you, and then she has a little hiccup there, right there, a little crow hop. Fryman puts it in play. Nice play by the first baseman.
Yeah.
It was dug out, and that's 3 outs for West Central.
So West Central threatens just as they did in the first, getting some girls on base, but can't come up with that big hit. We move to the third inning with the score, the Hawks 7, Lady Cougars 0. welcome back, softball fans. We are for those just joining us, we're in the top of the third inning. The Hawks are up 7-0 right now. And I don't know, back to the top of the lineup, and Heck Billy gets ahead 0-1. Trying to figure out what this contraption that Heck is wearing. It's a shoulder brace.
Yeah, it looks something that. A little slap. It's going to go.
That's it. Well.
Yeah, it goes over the right fielder's head. It's going to be a double. If she didn't get it thrown in, it's going to be a triple to start the inning.
I'll tell you what, if she can hit it that far while she's running, maybe she just needs to just stand there and take a hack, That ball was hit very well. Like, a lot of times you see that slap hit, you just think it's going to be something weak, and that ball jumped off of her bat. And good wheels there by Heck to wheel around for a triple. So a wild pitch there by Maynard allows Heck to score, making the score 8-0. Steinacker's up to bat for the Hawks. And on the attempted swing,
she was running up in the box as well, so I don't even know if you could check a swing at that point, all that momentum. Still running up in the box.
Need to make that batter's box farther back next time.
Yeah, you were the guy out here.
I was.
Grant put you on the spot.
But it's the batter's box is gone now, which is part of the course in baseball, softball. Usually about the third inning, it disappears. But so we have a 2-2 count here. Oh, just missed in. Very close pitch. One of my favorite things, when I'm coaching is, it's a great eye to take that with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Just try to. I found it's a nice way to kind of put it in the umpire's ear in a polite, non-confrontational way. Sometimes my tone of voice when I'm coaching isn't the best, but like I said, tough pitch there to take on the 2-2 pitch, and then Maynard misses high on the 3-2 pitch to walk Steinacker, and hand lines up. Good job there by Emma. I need to get my junior high baseball guys to cover steals that way. We worked on that the other day at practice as far as getting there on the side of the base, letting the ball come to you. For only being a 5th grader, I'm pretty impressed with that.
We talked again off air, I think, just watching that last half inning. We're a team that's going to be on the rise as the season goes on. I can just see it, especially as these 5th graders start to get some confidence.
Mm-hmm.
One of our hits, a 5th grader, and it wasn't shabby at all. It was a nice line shot up the middle.
Absolutely.
By Chapman. So as these 5th graders get more experience, this team's going to grow.
And even and like I said, I'm not an expert on it, but I know even like some of our 7th graders who are playing, like they haven't played a ton of softball. So those are the types of kids that can definitely get a lot of improvement. Oh, great effort there by Summers in right field, laying out for the ball. That was Aaliyah Summers in right field. Great effort, laying out, had it in her glove, at least initially, and that's one of the hardest things. You get it in your glove and you make contact with the ground, and it pops out.
Well, but as a coach, you'll take that every day. Someone that's going in as a pitcher, you appreciate those kind of efforts.
Absolutely. So we did find out earlier we were wrong on the score. So that run that scored we believe is the 10th run. So it's 10-0 Carrollton. And the batter is Rosentretter, the first baseman.
Well, if you're tuning in, this is our first broadcast of the season, junior high girls softball. We'll do a lot of junior high boys baseball as well, and that's coming up next week. Your first game is Wednesday, and of course you've had a camp and you've had kind of a first week of practice. How are we looking?
I think we're going to be okay. We have there slaps a base hit to right field.
She's going to try to come home. Nice play by West Central, but they're going to say that she got under the tag of Rose. The ball beat her.
Yeah, and I don't have a look, so just got to trust what the umpire said there. It was definitely a close play. But nice hit by the first baseman of the Hawks over to right field. Once again, not trying to do too much, just slapping the ball that way, finding a hole, and driving in headline. And the next batter is Scoggins. But yeah, getting back to the baseball season, it's a fun group. So, we have a lot of guys who played travel baseball for me with the Blue Cats that are playing, and so it's one of those things where we have all the pieces to have a good season, and it's just one of those things where, hoping that that it all comes together. We have a couple 8th graders. 3 of them, as a matter of fact, that have really shown a lot of growth this past year in travel baseball and have made improvements hitting and pitching defensively. I think they are primed to have great years in Colby Pratt, Mason Alexander, and Brock Fuller, and all 8th graders. We have another 8th grader who's going to be in the mix, and Jordy Ray, hopefully a big contributor. But then we have a lot of 7th graders that in the last couple of years have played a good amount of baseball and shown some good growth, and we're going to need them to step up and be big contributors for us as well if we want to get to where we want to get. So right there, Maynard records a strikeout of Scoggins for the first out of the inning. I did peek as the junior high baseball coach. They have the regional seedings out already. Yeah. And so our regional, you talk about a meat grinder. It is so we're in there. Pittsfield, who's going to have a really good team. Brown County, Virginia, which is Triopia's team, which has a couple guys who play travel baseball for me as well, and then Rushville and Camp Point. And Rushville I don't know much about, but I have seen them this summer in the junior high basketball league.
They look athletic.
Physically, they are impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will translate to baseball as the coach. I hope not. But, I mean, who knows? And then Camp Point, I don't know much about Camp Point. I know they're very well coached. But we've actually been heated out from them. We haven't played them the last 2 seasons.
That's right.
So I have no clue.
Yeah.
I have no clue what they have. But, like I said, I am very familiar, of course, with Pittsfield and Brown County and Virginia. And I really believe, our regional is one of those that any of us 4 could win, and I'm not trying to slight Camp Point or Rushville. I just don't know anything about them. They might be in the mix with us too, or they might be the best team in it. But it's going to be tough. Whoever wins that regional is going to have to play at least 2 really, really good ball games, to win that regional. And if you're not the 1 or 2 seed, you're going to have to play 3 really good ball games to win. And
I was going to say that softball you can run a pitcher for a lot of games. Nice job by Maynard. Gets strikeout number 2 and out number 2 of this inning. But in baseball, you got to manage a lot more of that pitch count, figuring out what you're going to do. And it's going to be important for any team to try to get that 1 or 2 seed to just save on pitching.
Absolutely. Last year that was kind of the dilemma I was in as a coach, as a baseball coach. We were playing Virginia in the semifinals of the regional. I knew Virginia was good. Like, they're a good team. And so as a coach, do you throw Bryce Kirkpatrick, who is our number 1 pitcher, and make sure you win that game to get to the regional championship, or do you try to throw off and then and when I say off, I mean we had very good number 2 and 3 options.
Yeah.
But Thrice was our ace, no
By
doubt
far.
about it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I chose to throw Thrice, and it's, there were some nights when the season ended when we got beat in the regional championship that you sit there and you second guess it as a coach, but also if we throw off, we might get beat by Virginia. I mean, that was a game that was 2-1 going into the 5th, or 3-1. It was a close ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And this year is going to be very similar to that. And at the end of the day, we just I'll say this: we have the pieces to compete with anybody in our regional, but it's going to be a tough one. And it's going to be a fun season, I think. We got a very, we there's not much in between with our lineup, meaning that I feel like we have really small guys who can run and are athletic, and then we have some big boppers.
Yeah.
My son Brock now, he just had his school physical. He's 5'9", 188 pounds as an 8th grader.
Yeah.
And then, maybe batting right in front of him might be Jace Fryman, who's not 5'9", 188 pounds,
Right.
but both very good ball players.
Yeah. Well, speaking of both those ball players, Brock played obviously a lot of baseball in his 7th grade season, and I felt like one of our better hitters, and it was kind of a Brock-Jace combo,
Mm-hmm.
Brock would get that hit. Jace would go on base. I think he led the team in steals and runs scored, didn't he?
He did. He led the team in simply as a courtesy runner. He had 3 at-bats all year, and but as a courtesy runner, led the team in stolen bases and in runs scored. And I've had to have that conversation with Brock, is this year, Jace is probably going to be in the starting lineup somewhere, either in the infield or outfield, so you're not going to have that guy.
Yeah.
You're going to have to run the bases some. There might be other opportunities where other guys, get that opportunity. But it's a fun group, and these kids are, like I said, I've coached them for a long time. Brock and Colby, of course I've coached since T-ball, and
Mm-hmm.
other guys, coaching them in Little League and travel baseball. And like I said, it's and I talked about this today at practice, was, this is what we've been working for. The travel ball's fun. That's where, hey, I let you play, and you've seen me coach. I don't give many signs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't kind of micromanage. But I said, now that we're in junior high in the same way in high school, like, this is where we're going to play the game the right way. So don't be surprised if, as an 8-hole batter, you're getting a 2-0 take sign if we're in a tie game and we need to get a base runner, or if I'm going to ask you to get a bunt down or execute a hit and run. I don't do much of that in travel ball. I just kind of say, hey, go play, do what you want to do. But we got all the pieces to have a successful year this year, which is exciting. Good battle going on here between Maynard and Flowers. Tell you what, Millie Maynard's definitely shown a lot of grit.
Yeah.
Tonight. Competing, had some, just tough luck hits. Where balls that are, just find holes. And right there, she gets Flowers to ground out to her, and she records the 1-3 put out to end the inning. But we move to the bottom of the 3rd, and the score is 11-0 to Hawks. We'll be back in a second. All right, welcome back, softball fans. We're in the bottom of the third, and leading off for the Cougars is the 4-hole batter, Sydney Evans. Pitched a little bit high, 2-0. Cougars are kind of needing to get a little bit something going. They've threatened in both the first and the second, have had traffic on the bases, and just haven't been able to get that big hit or that big break.
Being a base, and she walks, nice job by Sydney. Being a baseball guy, I'm just amazed at softball pitchers and the way which they go about their business. But watching Heck pitch, and I'm not saying it's just her, I see this with a lot of softball players. It's like a crow hop almost off that mound, and it almost like I think of it back to baseball. Like, what if a baseball pitcher crow hopped off the mound? And so what's legal and what's not legal, and I'm not saying Heck's doing anything illegal.
Yes.
What I'm just saying is I see a lot of pitchers do that where they kind of push off the mound, and she's kind of off the mound now. She crow hops and makes that step, and so it's fascinating to figure out that rule. What is the rule? I don't know it. I'm not.
This is what's sad to say. There was for 2 years I was a patch softball umpire, and I don't know the rule.
Yeah.
I haven't done as much softball, but there was 1 year that I went ahead and got patched and did a couple softball games in the spring and junior high games. I remember I did a junior high game here, I don't know, probably 10, 12 years ago. So I don't know the rule. I will say this. I know in baseball there was a relief pitcher, and then we got the pickoff to first. And we got a pickle here, folks. And
well, they get her picked off. Evans is picked off. Flowers with the tag.
So, yeah. And I'll say this, that's something you see in baseball and softball where we have the rundown, the girls running hard. And I'll say this, I think she's probably trying to make sure you tag her, know, and I get that. You don't want to reach and come up short and miss. But then with the runner running, yeah, it was hit the ground pretty hard there, so.
That was a strikeout and a pickoff play, so that's 2 outs should be on the board.
And so the next batter is Ronnie Hubert. But no, as we were talking about with the contact to the rubber, I remember it was probably 8 or 10 years ago. There was a relief pitcher for the Braves, and I don't remember his name, but he did something similar to this in baseball, where he'd come up and then he'd push off with his back foot and then re-land 10, 12 inches in front of the rubber. And I know that there were people that made the argument that it should be a balk or an illegal pitch or whatever. And I remember hearing about it as long as you start your motion on the rubber, I was always just amazed he could throw strikes out of that.
I remember because I think he ended up being a Cardinal pitcher for maybe
and he might have
a season or two, or well, at least half a season.
Yeah. So we had I'm not sure how they would rule that, a base hit, or it might be an error on Ronnie Hubert, who did a nice job hitting a hard ground ball right to the third baseman. The throw was a little low, and first baseman couldn't handle it. And she advances to second on the wild pitch, and the next hitter is Addie Fuller. So 1-1 count here. That's the one you should have swung out there, sweetheart.
Hey, good thing, Addie, you can go back and watch this if you really want to.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I made sure to call her sweetheart.
In fairness, that has not been a strike most of the game. A little on the high end of the zone, but Dad's not going to give her any break.
No.
I know I don't give my sons any breaks. So.
And I know me and her have worked a lot the last couple weeks. As I was talking about with her joining the junior high team, it's been great. Like, she's been really
There's that motion again where you think
Yeah.
he's calling a strike, and he's basically just saying it's outside, but he
outside.
crosses his body like he's going to.
And Brock, my son, went through this around the same age where, like, when we hit in the cage, the swing's great, and it's a matter of translating it to the game.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that's very common, I think, in a lot of sports where you can work on drills all you want, but then eventually you got to be able to translate it onto the court or onto the field or whatever, and that's kind of where she's at. But she impressed me. Like, when we go out and hit, she hits the ball hard. She works at it. She wants to go. You know, so this has been great for her. But she draws a walk, and which brings up Aaliyah Summers, who had a great at bat last time.
I thought one of the better ones before the next batter shot one up the middle, but she made contact on a couple of balls there and had some good swings. Eventually struck out, but something we want to see. And on cue, she fouls that one straight back.
She's right on time on that one.
Now, this is where we need your wife here, but is she a fifth grader or a seventh grader?
I believe seventh grader.
Yeah.
I believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I know there's no sixth graders, and I don't think she's an eighth grader.
Right.
But I believe, because I was asking my wife questions last night at the Calhoun game about some of these girls, knowing that I was going to be on the broadcast, and I knew I would probably sound like an idiot. I didn't want to sound like a total idiot, so I wanted to have some information.
You know, you're not paid, so
that is a valid point. Yeah.
You know, we allow anybody to. Well, no, I shouldn't say that.
Great take there by Aaliyah.
But we did talk at our booster meeting to get more broadcasters. It's not just broadcasters, just guys that are able to set this equipment up, and we can cover a lot of games.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested in something like that, hit me up and we'll teach you.
Great at bat by Summers. The ball rolls to the infield, but it is a dead ball on the foul ball, so the runners cannot advance on that. Tell you what, with how good of at bats she's had tonight, I'd like to see Aaliyah, get to. Fouls another one off, just keeping that bat going. But this is one of those for her and her confidence. You want to see her poke one out there, find a hole somewhere, and because this has been a great at bat. No matter what happens, one of the better at bats of the night for us. Paints the outside corner. A great at bat there by Summers, but she loses the battle against Heck. And we move to the fourth inning with the score: the Hawks 11 and the Lady Cougars 0. All right, welcome back, softball fans. We have a couple lineup changes. So, now pitching is Kinsley Fryman for the Lady Cougars. Millie Mader moves to first base. And then we got a couple substitutions. So Bella Mangum is in right field, and Hadley Graham is now our left fielder for the Lady Cougars. And Kinsley Fryman promptly starts off with 2 strikes. First one called, and then gets a check swing. Looked like that had a little bite down and in. Hitter wanted to go after it, and I think she realized that if I keep swinging at this, I'm just going to foul it off my shin.
And Fryman strikes out the batter, and that's kind of what we wanted to see. And I saw both these pitchers warming up in front of me as we were setting up this equipment, and so I had a feeling we were going to see both pitchers, and both have a pretty good idea of what they're doing.
Yeah, and we saw both of them last night and against Calhoun, and they both do a really nice job. From what I saw last night, they definitely compete, and they give their team a chance. And I just know this as a coach, this first week or maybe even the first 2 weeks of, junior high baseball, softball, you're trying to figure out the dynamic of your team. Are you better when this person pitches? Because, this isn't professional. So it's not like you have a pitching staff that you can just go pick somebody and you have your offensive players that if you bring somebody in to pitch, and then where does that mean everybody moves to? And I'm sure that our coaches are probably trying to figure that out, especially with so many young players. Like, what is our best lineup? What is our best defense? And I like to see that they're giving some girls some opportunities in the field and at the plate. I think that's going to help us as the season moves along and trying to figure out what is our best lineup any given day.
Learning curve on both sides, the players themselves obviously being young, and then the coaches, like you were talking about, figuring this puzzle out, how it all works. They did a great job last year, obviously, just a great team, but they were doing a very similar thing with 2 pitchers last year, in Weber and Lawson, and how they didn't always start one over the other, but they both factored into a lot of decisions.
Absolutely. And that's something I'm going to have to figure out the first week or 2 of junior high baseball, because one of the big things, as I talked about with those 3 8th graders, they're all very good at the positions they play as well. So, Brock is a very good catcher, so when he pitches, then you're moving somebody else there.
Yeah.
When Colby pitches, he's a good first baseman. You're moving somebody else there. And we get strike 3, and the ball drops. Very efficient inning there by Kinsley Fryman, going 1, 2, 3. And we finally found a way to get Heck out one time. She's had a heck of a ball game, no pun intended, for the Hawks. But we moved to the bottom of the 4th, and the score is 11-0. All right, welcome back, softball fans. So batting for the Cougars right now is Emma Chapman, who's 1 for 1. Her first at-bat tonight. She did a nice job, hit a nice, hard, clean ground ball up the middle.
Here we go, Emma, let's go, babe.
I wonder if she's going to get that ball when it's done. I assume the first junior high hit. I know she didn't have a hit last night, so that'd be her first, hopefully of many junior high hits in her career. And tries the middle again, hits ground ball to Flowers.
I wondered if he was going to stay with the play. The umpire did a great job of staying with that play because I don't think at first it was a clean catch, and the first baseman quickly picked that up.
But a great at bat there. I know it didn't result in the hit, but you gotta love to see that. Young player coming up, not being intimidated, swinging the bat, hit a hard ground ball, and that's baseball, softball. You hit the ball hard, and you just hit it right at them, and they make a good play, and that's one of the things that makes this game so tough.
Yeah, yeah.
At times.
Well, like you talked about, she wasn't overmatched. She put the ball in play, and you even asked that in baseball. Put it in play, put the pressure on the defense, make them make the play, and that's what the Hawks did. And sometimes that just means you have to tip your cap. They made the play.
So
there's no tipping of caps out here, though.
Yeah.
Sun visors, maybe.
Visors, masks.
Yeah. You got to tip your mask.
Yep. So Maynard falls behind 0-2 after she pulled the line drive into the first base dugout on the last pitch. A good pitch there by Heck. Looked like something, maybe a changeup or something. Definitely had some bite downward late. Retiring Maynard, and the next batter is Kenzie Rose. Tried the corner and missed. So their Coach Rose, I think, must have had a tell. I could hear him calling what pitch was coming. So he's seeing grip or which ground ball to the second baseman. Good play by Steinacker, retiring Rose. Good inning there. There's some good at-bats there by the Cougars, really aggressive at-bats, which you like to see. But and I believe – okay, yeah, I didn't think we were at the run rule yet, but the Lady Cougars were lining up and kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't know if, softball had a different run rule than baseball. But anyway, we will be returning here shortly for the fifth inning, and so we'll see you in a little bit. All right, welcome back, softball fans. It's Justin Fuller, Denny Bortman coming to you live from Winchester Grade School. And so we are in the top of the fifth. Kinsley Fryman had a great fourth inning, went 1-2-3 for the Cougars.
A great inning, 2 strikeouts, 1 pop out. She was part of every out in that inning. So, and I believe it's unofficially, but I would say it was under 10 pitches. It seemed to be that efficient.
It was very quick.
Something that we needed, something a little positive, especially on the defensive side of things going our way.
Comebacker. I tell you, like I said, Fryman and Maynard could just go out there and rows, and everybody else could grab a seat now. Now, I say that, I'll jinx it, but, great way to start the inning there by Fryman, getting weak contact on the comebacker, getting the first out, and that brings Rosentretter, first baseman.
Someone we haven't talked a lot about, but she's made a couple of nice plays over there at first base. One hot shot that I can remember, and a couple throws that have just kind of been in-betweeners, I would call.
Yeah.
And she's handled them very well.
Yeah, had a couple, I believe, couple hits. I remember her last at-bat, she had a base hit to right field, and I think she had a base hit up the middle. I should do a better job of keeping my scorecard here. That way I wouldn't be talking out of my rear end. But yeah, and played a really solid first base for the Hawks as well. Digged a couple throws out of the dirt. So hopefully Fryman can kind of keep this momentum going. Got a 1-2 count right now. Tried to go upstairs. Nice job fouling that one off. And yeah, and with the combination of Maynard and Fryman, and righty, lefty, they seem to have a, like, I got to imagine it's like in baseball, different look, just throwing different handedly. And great pitch there by Fryman. Looked like he had a little bite, something cutting, curving down and away. Gets the strikeout for the second out. But yeah, these two, like I said, as this team grows throughout the season, it could be a good 1-2 combo. And one of them can give you a 3 or 4, and the other one can close the game out. Should get a different look. And like I said, as I've said before, I'm not a softball expert. I know that plays on the baseball field when you can give different looks, different speeds, and different type of pitches. It's one of those things that one time through the lineup for sure, it can definitely throw an offensive team off. Fryman just keeps pounding the zone, gets ahead of Scoggins, 0-1. Expands the zone up, gets Scoggins to chase there, 0-2. Be interesting to see what the plan of attack is here. Just went up. I throw that little cutter curveball down and away, I think. Went back upstairs. That's not a bad idea either. If they swung at one high, go back up there again.
I would think that would, as someone who played baseball, I think that would be the hardest pitch because you're seeing it at your eyes, and it just keeps going and going.
As we talked about earlier in the broadcast, that time when I faced the college pitcher, got a weak fly ball to third base, foul ball. The one pitch, and I cannot think of her name now, but the pitcher at McKendree, the softball pitcher who pitched to me, she threw me like a couple rise balls, and no chance.
Yeah, you just can't get on top of it.
Like you see it coming down, and you see it, and then you think you have it, and then you swing 6 inches underneath it every time, and it's enough velocity that you don't have the time for your brain to be like, all right, get on top of this. Like, you just swing and miss. And it was, as I said earlier, I made a quick out, and then I proceeded to walk out of the cage with my tail between my legs. So good battle here. All right, Fryman tries to go down in the zone a little bit. Moves the count to 2-2. Here's the pitch by Fryman. In the dirt, moves it to 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Another foul ball. Good battle here going on between Fryman and Scoggins.
I think the Hawks are still looking for their first base runner against Fryman.
They are.
Nice job by Fryman.
Oh, she's done a really nice job. All right, we got a 1-6-3. So comebacker to Fryman. She got some leather on it, slowing it down and redirecting it to Emma Chapman at short. And Emma threw her out at first base. Nice little play. Don't see that every day, a little 1-6-3. But a great job by Fryman. So we are entering the bottom of the 5th. We need the Cougars to, if they want to extend this game, they got to find a way to get a couple runs here. But we will be back in just a few seconds. All right, welcome back, softball fans. Leading off for the Cougars, we have Kinsley Fryman. See if she can carry some of this momentum from the mound to the plate. She's done a great job. 2 innings, clean relief, 6 up, 6 down. Takes the first pitch for ball 1.
Again, not trying to sound like a broken record, but I'm interested to see what this team looks like. And I don't know, softball season's so short. Well, a month, less than a month. You know, you play so many games. But I think I can see this team coming around as you're starting to figure out, you know, Chapman having a good game today. Maybe you move her up in the lineup, kind of what you were talking about, trying to figure out where these pieces all go.
And honestly, Aaliyah Summers.
Yeah,
great
another one.
At-bats today.
Fryman fouls that one off.
Into the bean field.
Yeah.
We got a young spectator who's going to make an attempt to go try to find that. Those beans might be taller than him.
Yeah.
All
You
this
got to
rain
get
we've
low.
got.
We used to play tennis ball, and if you lost a ball in the bean field, you had to get out in it, and then you had to get under the leaves, and you had to look and find out where that ball was because you couldn't lose too many tennis balls.
I was always fortunate. My dad actually planted beans, didn't sow them, and so they'd be, you know, decent width apart. But you'd have to. I do agree. You'd have to get low. You have to get in there and spread them out, and try to get there on the ground. So, but a great at bat going by Fryman. Enough talk about soybeans. She works the count full. Heck is still in the game for Carrollton.
Nice hit, ripped hard at the second baseman. It's going to be an out, but nice hustling by Fryman. Just right at the second baseman.
And a great swing, you know, and that's one of the things about baseball, softball. It's so tough. They've had a couple of their girls, and you give them credit, had that same exact swing, and their ball found a hole between the first baseman and second baseman.
Yep.
Fryman, great swing there. Worked the count full, got a strike, hit it hard at the second baseman, and definitely an at-bat that you can build upon as a player.
That brings in Evans. I think a pair of walks for Evans in this game.
Yep.
While we're on the broadcast, so you may have seen some of the ads. We want to thank our businesses already. I know it's early and some of our ads aren't in yet, and businesses are always very supportive of what we do here at West Central and the Booster Club, and we can talk a little bit about what's going on this summer. But, again, starting those new advertisement packages, if you're interested, get a hold of us at the high school. We can get you set up, or one of the favorites for some of our parents is a fan package. It's a $100 package where you can kind of have the media team create your own little whatever, shout out, whatever you want to do. It's kind of a neat thing that we do on the live stream, but we also put it out there on the video board. So, again, a big thank you to our businesses. We can't do what we do without you guys, and we appreciate that support.
Well, and Denny, I'll say this as a parent of, now 2 junior high athletes. It's awesome. Like me coaching junior high baseball, this is maybe one of the few games I'm going to be at. I know I'm going to be at Saturday's game, but once we start playing baseball, it's tough. And there are times in the basketball season I miss Brock's game because I referee high school basketball. So, having the live stream, being able to go back and watch games or watch them while I'm on the road or doing things. And I know that there are a lot of people in our community that really appreciate it, and you guys do a great job providing this service. And, we do appreciate all the support we have from the businesses as well.
Well, I think I speak for you a little bit too, as I'm trying to get you a little hooked on this broadcasting gig too. We wouldn't do it if we didn't enjoy it. That's a little part of it, but like I said, we can't do it without, the support that we get from our community. And again, we can't thank them enough. We have some big projects that have gone on throughout the years, but we had a busy summer too. If you look out in left field, I know you were helping us construct that. I don't know, a weekend ago.
I held the ladder.
Well, we all had our little jobs, that we had to make sure it got done. But we got a new batting cage out there for the Little League and softball teams. That was one of our big projects this summer. That's ball 4. It'll be a walk. That's 2 on for West Central with 1 out.
Yeah. So, we'll back up and just kind of catch everybody up at home. So, Evans, after the great at-bat by Fryman, Evans drew a walk, and that was Aubrey Sweeten drew a walk. And now batting is for Ronnie Hubert is number 24, Hadley Graham, I believe. If I got I got it right. So this is her first at bat. Definitely aggressive, ready to hit, which is good to see there. Strike 1 though.
You don't mind that, especially someone that's come off the bench and seen a couple innings, knows kind of probably, if you're paying attention, I say this to my sons all the time, probably what their first pitch is going to be. They're going to want to try to get ahead, and they're going to probably throw you their best pitch, which typically in junior high baseball, we see a lot of fastballs in those counts. So be ready. Well, and I know you preach that as well. Like, be ready. If it's there, that's it.
And I remember even in when I was playing in college, and I wasn't a guy who started all the time. I played some, but there were games I'd come off the bench, and my attitude as a pinch hitter always was, hey, I don't want to let this guy get in a slider count and throw me a slider. Like, I want to hit the first pitch fastball. And granted, there are times that maybe I swung at a fastball over my head on 0-0, but there are also times that I was able to square one up 0-0 and get a hit, when you come in there as a pinch hitter. So
absolutely.
We're at a 1-2 count is what the scoreboard says. It might be 2-2, though.
I think it is. It's evened up. She evened it up on that one. Graham slices one foul. Nice job by Graham.
And I'll say this as watching the game last night and then watching the game tonight, definitely some of our hitters are looking more comfortable, and that's natural. You're coming out of the summer. You haven't maybe had a whole lot of live at-bats and faced live pitching, that it's something that you're going to get more comfortable as the season goes on. And there Graham gets hit by a pitch, looked like he caught her right on the wrist, which that does not feel good. A good job by her.
Well, taking that even a step further as Graham gets to first base, that's never fun to get hit anywhere. But taking that a step further is, I think Sydney's done a great job of, there's certain players that aren't coming off the field. We know that. We know who they are. But there's players that you can kind of mix and match as she's done throughout this game. As Fuller steps in and takes strike 1. And just to figure out what you have and to keep kids interested and getting into that flow of the game, so to speak.
Absolutely. All right, let's see if Fuller can do something here. If I yell out, I'll buy her some ice cream if she gets a hit. Maybe she'll.
It's probably yard, wasn't it? She loves her ice cream, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah.
One ball, 2 strikes. I don't know.
The fans were not a big fan of that call. We'll just say that. I'll just leave it there. You guys might have been able to pick up a little bit of the audio there. But now Addie at a 1-2 count has to battle. Takes one high.
Addie evens the count 2-2. Next pitch to her is a little high, and it's full again.
I probably would have swung at that one.
Well,
but, hey, she's up there in the
Yep.
box, and who am I to say? She's got 3 walks on the season so far, so her eye might be a lot better than mine was. All right, she draws ball 4.
we'll take the RBI, right?
Absolutely. Very polite of Addie there. She let the runner from third cross before she took off. She said, hey, go ahead. Very, good to see that somebody's raising her right. Not me, but my wife is. So, here, kind of a big moment right here, and I don't know what Carrollton has for pitching. And I know that, there's no pitch limit and, things like that, like as there is in baseball. But, fatigue, especially this early in the year, has got to set in. And I don't have a pitch count on Heck, but I feel like she's probably thrown a decent amount.
Yeah.
But being 11-1 in the 5th, so if the Cougars can scratch another run across, they extend the game.
Yeah, I like what you're thinking because Fryman has pitched a heck of a game, so you never know.
Exactly.
Just get that momentum, get back out there in the field and see what happens.
Yeah, so we have Bella Mangum, who is batting for Summers right now. She takes the first pitch for strike 1. This is Bella's first at bat. She entered 2 innings ago into right field. All right, 0-2. Let's see what we can get a little battle going here. Oh, I believe that's 3. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Another kind of fake out moment, which and that happens in junior high sports. I don't care if you're talking baseball, softball, basketball. I'm sure volleyball same way. That like I said, these kids are learning the game. But it brings up Emma Chapman, who's had a really nice ball game. Had a base hit up the middle her first at bat, and then grounded out to short, 6-3. But another good, clean, hard hit up the middle. But this is one of those moments where if she can get a hit. We have Millie coming up next, and the top of our lineup, we could possibly make some noise. And Heck has pitched a heck of a game.
Yeah.
But I got to imagine probably got to be a little bit winded right now with the number of pitches she's thrown. She's thrown a lot. We've done a good job battling. That brings it to 3-0. I got to imagine probably getting the take sign here. So I know the softball team, they use the wristband for signs and stuff like that. And it's kind of funny that last night Addie was all worried because she's like, well, how do I know what numbers they are? And I'm like, well, they'll give you a wristband, so that you can look. But she was all worried that, like, she had to memorize all these numbers and what they meant. So Heck gets back in the count there, 3-1. Good softball there by Emma, making her throw a strike.
Yeah.
All right, brings it to 3-2. All right, so the runners are running. So here, if Emma can get a hit, I got to imagine it's probably going to score 2. Got some energy going on here from both dugouts. Kind of like it. There's ball 4. Emma Lynn Chapman draws the walk. Had about a couple people caught that bat in the shins. Emma was pretty jacked up, turning through it, almost took out Millie's shins, and then Millie grabbed it and almost took out Rose's shins. We don't have the depth. We can't be getting each other hurt here, girls.
Right. Well, you're gonna see that pitching change now. We'll get that to you as Carrollton is going to bring in number 4. Who is that for
number
Hawks?
4 is Scoggins, who's been in center field.
And Scoggins is going to get the top of the lineup with the bases loaded. So I like what you were saying earlier. You know, we've done it now. We pushed it into the 6th inning. Get some more runs there in the bottom half of this 5th and see what you can do with it.
Well, and that's the, you know, it's the beautiful and terrible thing of baseball and softball is there's no clock. You got to get all the outs. And granted, you have run rules, but like right here, you know, the Lady Cougars done a great job battling this inning and scratching across a couple runs, which is extending the game. It just gives you a chance. You know, those people that follow MLB, and I forget who it was, but the Rockies were down 9-0 the other day, and they came back and won like 17-16 or 18-7. I forget exactly what it was, but I saw the on the internet, and that's the great thing about it. You got to get, you know, and if you're playing a Major League Baseball game, you got to get 27 outs, or junior high baseball, softball, you got to go get 21 outs unless the run rule comes into effect. And it's good to see this young Cougar squad battling and giving themselves a chance. And now we got some girls coming up who can possibly make some noise here and maybe get us back in the game. So Maynard takes the first pitch for strike 1. Scoggins misses high with that, making the count 1-1. Takes that one a little high. This is one of those where, like I said, I want to see Millie be aggressive and be on time. There we go.
She shoots one into left field. It's going to be a fair ball. I took it over, Justin, because I could see the line here. It's a triple, and they're going to hold her up there. A 3-run triple for Maynard. Really needed that.
I appreciate you taking it over because I was totally blind, but I could tell off the bat she definitely hit it hard. And as I was just talking about that 2-1, like when you're one of the best hitters, that's when you need to be aggressive and be on time and look to do damage, not try to hit a little weak ground ball single or something like that, but do exactly what Millie Maynard did. Hit a ball hard in the gap or over the outfielders' heads for extra base hits, and that cleared the bases, making the score 11-5. And the Cougars aren't done yet. They still got the top of their lineup up in Kinsey Rose.
I like that. You know, it may not have been a strike in the zone, but she was ready to pounce on something. And felt like in her first bat, maybe even her second, she was putting herself in a hole.
Well, and hitting's contagious, you know, and, you know, especially in baseball where sometimes it's amazing where I've had games before where it's like, you know, there's nothing going on first 3-4 innings, and then all of a sudden you get a couple barrels and some balls hit hard, and sometimes they can even be outs, but hard hit outs, and then it's almost like everybody in the dugout, you know, starts to think, hey, like, they got a hit, I can get a hit, and it becomes contagious that people want to jump in on that. And I've really noticed the last couple innings, you know, if you're watching the game, like we didn't do much first couple innings outside of walks, but not a whole lot of contact, definitely not a lot of loud contact. And now here in this last inning or two, we've had some loud contact, and which is good to see from the girls kind of breaking out a little bit. And there Rose pokes one through the left side of the infield for a base hit, bringing in Maynard, making the score 11-6. I got a little bit excited right there. That was a nice piece of hit, and just slapping it that way.
Both times, Maynard and Rose both just taking that pitch to the left side, both left-handed hitters.
Did you put the score up? Did you score them? Go ask them if you don't know how to do it.
All right, so this brings up Kinsley Fryman, the 3-hole batter. And the Cougars are still threatening here in the 5th inning. Big 5th inning for them. So I want to give a quick shout out to the Henline, the catcher for Carrollton. I think she's done a really nice job. She's done a good job keeping the ball in front of her. There's been some balls in the dirt, kept everything in front, controlled the running game, The Cougars. And Fryman hits a ground ball to second base. And tough play there by Steinacker, the second baseman. Had the runner running from first to second. Had to be a little bit of distraction there, somebody bearing down on you. But she did a nice job of fielding that. But the Cougars with a big inning, making the score 11-6 and extending this into the 6th inning. So we'll be back here in just a few seconds with some more softball. All right, welcome back, softball fans. Cougars, they got all 6 that inning, correct?
All 6, yes.
All 6. Getting right back in the ball game. Now, I did hear the umpire say, and this is a rule in junior high, is they have a 2-hour time limit for baseball and softball. So this will be the last inning, irregardless. But still, a great job by the Cougars. Are giving themselves a chance. And if Kinsley Fryman keep throwing how she has the last 2 innings and put another 0 up there, after scoring 6, it's definitely reasonable to think that, a 5-run deficit is in reach. So first pitch was a ball.
It's just different enough. You were talking about that as well, Maynard and Fryman. Just different enough, and you can tell this hitter in particular, we're a little bit out in front of it.
Yeah.
Trying to figure her out.
And she's had a lot of success right there down in the zone. And I don't know if she's cutting it or if it's just deception, but they've had a lot of batters that have swung at that pitch. It's maybe right at the knees or slightly below the knees. And honestly, you're just on baseball, softball, it doesn't matter. You're not going to do much with that pitch down there. So whatever she's doing, I think, she does throw a hair slower than Millie, velocity-wise, but that goes to show you that velocity is only part of it. You got to be able to execute pitches, but those two are really, I think, complement each other. And Kinsley Fryman makes a great pitch there. You can tell that the batter was probably looking away, down and away, and she dots that inside corner. And as we talked about earlier, if you can execute that, that is a tough pitch to hit. Just pounding the zone there.
Well, kudos to all umpires, really. Again, we talked about this earlier about how players tend to stand on, especially baseball players. I just see more of it. Tend to stand on top of the plate. So when an inside pitch happens, it looks like it could hit them, or it jumps them off the plate. And I've seen it a couple times this summer where the umpire is not phased and he calls it a strike, and everybody's like, "Whoa, what?" Yeah, well, look where they're setting up. So.
Yeah.
And now, as we've talked about, that batter's box has been gone since 4:45 today.
Yeah.
So you kind of, as an umpire, and you know more than I do about this, you got to kind of be on your game maybe a little bit about where your zone is.
Well,
and not pay attention to batter's boxes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So as an umpire, what they teach you is to get you're in the slot. So you're supposed to get between the catcher and the hitter. So in a perfect world, you should be able to see the inside corner. However, when the catcher sets up on the inside corner, then they're kind of right in your way, and you got to get up a little higher. And it does make that pitch really tough. And there's so much going on there. I get why umpires have they get jumpy sometimes, because is it going to hit the batter and deflect and hit me? But like I said, if you can execute that pitch, and I agree, it's the hardest pitch hit. Sometimes it's the hardest pitch to get the umpires to call, because you get a lot of motion from the batter. Great job there by Fryman going in there, and we're at a full count now. She missed just down.
With one out in the 6th inning, that's, I believe, the first Hawk base runner on Fryman.
That is Gernigan, who reached on a walk there, which brings up the shortstop Flowers. I know the Hawks have ran a lot tonight, so let's see if they continue to try to run. It's tough, and I've been there as a coach. You have a big lead, and then this is one of those games where whether it be they took their foot off the gas a little bit, or whether we just got a little bit of momentum going, and then sometimes it's really hard to find that accelerator again when you do that. It's always one of the tough things. I know this year in the high school baseball season, and I forget which game it was, but me and Grant had a game where we jumped up big on a team, and we were up 10, 11 nothing after 2 innings, and we told our guys, hey, we're done stealing, we're done, just go play. Well, then the team ended up, I remember at one point, get to be like 11-5 or 11-6 or 12-6, something like that, and it's back in the game. And we really kind of struggled to get going. And eventually we won that game. But that's sometimes one of the hardest things as coaches, because nobody wants to run it up on somebody, and I get that. But then all of a sudden baseball happens. That L. Little, good play, good stretch. Ooh.
She just couldn't get the grip. Great play by Little, fielding that ball, I'll say cleanly, but when she went to get the ball, she just couldn't get her hand on it, and she threw it. Maynard made a nice play, but pulled her off the bag.
Yeah.
But she did a great job of not sitting back on it, too.
Oh, yeah, she came and got it.
She came and got the play.
Did everything right. Okay, we got a 1-3. And they threw it home.
That makes it 2 outs on the 1-3. We almost had a double play there at the plate.
That was fast and furious. A lot of stuff happened there. So we had ground ball back to Fryman, did a great job, fielded it. Probably didn't check the runner at third, but the runner froze, and then she threw it quickly to Millie, who just kind of bobbled the transfer just a little bit. I think if she gets a clean transfer on that ball, which is a tough play, but she gets a clean transfer with her arm, she could have possibly thrown her out. We got a fly ball to center, and we got a catch there by Aubrey Sweeten on the fly ball. I think that's 3 outs. That's another fake out. That's about our 3rd or 4th fake out we've had tonight. Yeah. But a good job there by the Cougars. They gave up 1 run, but they had some traffic on base, and Kinsley Fryman limited the damage. So I believe this is going to be, according to what the umpire said earlier, this will be the last inning. So we're going to head to the bottom of the 6th. Score Hawks 12, Lady Cougars 6. We'll see you in a little bit. right, welcome back, softball fans. The umpire has officially decreed to the spectators here that this time has expired, and this will be the last half inning, so hopefully the Cougars' bats can stay hot. We have Sydney Evans up to bat for the Cougars. And she has fallen behind 0-2. I believe she's walked 3 times today.
Yep, she's been on base all 3 times.
She's been on base a lot. Let's see if she can battle here with 2. Good pitch there by Scoggins, retiring the leadoff batter, which brings up Aubrey Sweeten. Aubrey, nice catch in center field to end the inning there on a good fly ball to center field. Made it look easy, made it look routine. For my heart, I hope my junior high baseball players make fly balls look that routine is what she did. Because if you ever been around junior high baseball or softball, sometimes they don't make it. They don't make the stuff look too routine.
No.
And as a coach, it ages you pretty quickly. All right, so Sweeten up in the count, 2-0. I believe. I don't think he called that a strike.
I think you're right. It's a 2-1 count now. Yep. She watches that one fall in for a strike.
But good softball there. If you're up 2-0 in this situation, like make the pitcher throw a strike. Good rip there by Sweeten. I'll tell you what, that second baseman has made some phenomenal plays. Steinacker, off the bat, I thought that had base hit written all over it, and she just shuffled over there in the hole and made that play look pretty routine there. But once again, a good at bat there by Aubrey Sweeten, something that she can build on, as they move through the season. That brings up, I know one of our subs here that came in 24, Hadley Graham, who's in playing left field now. Brings the count to 1-1. All right, we need Hadley to find a way on base, any way, anyhow. Extend this inning. It's a ground ball to first base. First baseman fields it, opts to tag the runner out, and that ends the game. But like I said, the last couple innings definitely some life out of the Lady Cougars, which was good to see. And Denny, I appreciate you having me on here. I told you I was going to be here anyway. It's one of the few games that I get to watch. I'm going to be at the game on Saturday at Bluffs, because that's one that I can watch as well before we get going in junior high baseball. But appreciate you having me, but I'll let you sign us off. But I hope the fans out listening enjoyed our coverage of the game tonight. Yeah,
it's been fun. It'll be one of the few ones that I'll probably get to a junior high softball game, but it was just worked in everybody's schedule. And like you said, you're going to get busy. I'm going to get busy. So just a shout out to anyone that wants to get involved in this. You don't have to be a broadcaster. Just learning how to set this system up, and we can cover a lot of ground with just that in itself. But appreciate you jumping on board. As I do, you know more about the game itself than I do. So I appreciate the knowledge. I appreciate the commentary, and you did a great job. And I'm looking forward to junior high baseball starting on Wednesday.
I am as well. And, for those people, if you're wanting to, and I know there's a lot of people probably haven't even seen the new field at Bluffs. It was new last year.
Yeah.
We play Payson Wednesday at 4:30. If you're not doing anything, come on out. Love to see a big crowd there at the field, and hopefully we give you guys something to be excited about out there at the baseball field.
For Justin Fuller, this is Denny Vortman. We are going to sign off. It was a nice win by the Carrollton Hawks, 12-6 over West Central.